I never thought a few seconds of shaky, grainy footage could unravel a marriage. It began on an ordinary Friday night when my phone buzzed with a request from my oldest friend, Alex. "Hey, can you drop Sophie off at my studio after her ballet workshop?" Sophie had just started teaching weekend community classes in his converted warehouse loft, a bright, echoing space hung with mirrors and ballet bars. I'd spent the previous 13 hours locked in back-to-back marketing meetings, and the moment I read Alex's text, I tapped back, of course. No problem. I had no idea that favor would set off a chain of public humiliation that would test the foundations of our love. Sophie was 25, radiant, and full of restless energy. We met 2 years earlier at a city arts festival. I was there representing my tech startup, pitching to investors. Sophie was dazzling the crowd with a contemporary ballet solo that seemed to make time slow. After her performance, I introduced myself, complimented her form, and she challenged me to feel the rhythm myself. We laughed over coffee, then dinner, then late-night walks under the neon glow of downtown streets. 6 months later, we moved in together into a sunlit loft near River Park, my carefully arranged marketing textbooks on one wall, her pastel scarves and point shoes draped over beams on the other. In many ways, our life looked like a perfect Instagram feed, artfully cluttered with books and plants, sunrise coffee rituals, and long conversations about travel. We dreamed of visiting Tokyo for its electric energy, Paris for its timeless beauty, and New York for its grit and glamour. Alex and I had been inseparable since college. We'd brainstormed business ideas over pizza, chased pranks through dorm halls, and burned the midnight oil on thesis projects. He dropped an accounting degree to pursue videography, filming local theater, dance recitals, and avant-garde shorts. Whenever his camera broke or rent went overdue, I'd help fund him. In return, he shared every cut of his latest experiment. When he asked to borrow Sophie for one ride that night, I felt no misgivings. I trusted him absolutely. At 10:15 p.m. I pulled up to the studio's roll-up door, engine still humming. Sophie slid into the passenger seat, ballet bag in hand. She smiled, and I thought I saw a flicker of excitement, nothing unusual for a dancer hungry for an audience. I returned home, collapsing onto the couch with the remote and a half-empty delivery bag of dumplings. I slept fitfully, dreaming of fluorescent lights and laughter echoing in empty rooms. At dawn, my phone erupted in notifications. Friends, family, coworkers all tagging me in a video titled "Community Dancer Prank Exposed. Watch what she does." My stomach knotted when I recognized Sophie's hoop earrings and the blush pink shawl I'd given her for Valentine's Day. The view count climbed by the thousands every second. I tapped play with trembling fingers. The footage began with Alex's grinning face filling the frame, studio lights flickering behind him. He waved a hand. "Check this out." The camera panned to Sophie greeting a newcomer to her class, Maya, a professional dancer Alex described as my secret star. Sophie's instructor smile shifted to surprise as Maya pivoted into a sudden pas de deux, guiding Sophie through unexpected movement. It wasn't just dance steps, it was a subtly orchestrated seduction. Maya's hand brushed Sophie's shoulder, then slid to her waist with deliberate slowness. Sophie didn't pull away, she laughed softly. Alex whispered commentary rang out. "See how she hesitates, then leans into it. Pure gold." His voice dripped excitement as the two women moved in harmony, backs arching, fingertips grazing. Sophie Maya lifts and dips blended with moments of eye contact charged with something beyond friendship. The camera cut to a close-up of Sophie's face, brows lifted, lips parted in a smile that did not quite reach her eyes. I felt bile rise. This was no innocent masterclass. It was exploitation, my wife's warmth weaponized for clicks. The footage blurred as Maya and Sophie slipped from the bar to a padded bench, breathless, laughing in a way that felt rehearsed. Alex's triumph was unmistakable. He zoomed out to catch them both, then slapped the subscribe graphic onto the final frame. I stared at the phone, silent tears burning my cheeks. My marriage, laid bare in pixelated infamy. Comments poured in. "That's performance art. She signed up for it, where's the harm? Alex is a genius, absolute harassment." No one asked if Sophie or I had consented. No one considered the trust broken. I slid off the couch, phone clattering against the coffee table. The loft felt empty without Sophie's shadows hung heavier in her absence. By mid-morning, the story had hit local news. My boss awkwardly asked if I was okay. Strangers recognized me on the street. Even my mother, her voice trembling, called to ask if it heard the awful rumor. I had no answers. I was trapped inside a nightmare loop of betrayal, curiosity, and moral outrage, each cycle eroding me. I forced myself to leave the apartment and drove to the studio. The roll-up door was shuttered. Sticky flyers read "Not art. Respect artists." Below, someone added in marker, "Consent is crucial." I slipped a note under the door. "We talked. I said I trusted you. What happened?" Hoping for some explanation. Back home, I found one small scrap of paper on the kitchen island. "Gone. Thanks for everything." Sophie was gone. The loft bristled with absence, her slippers untouched, her worn leather journal open on the coffee table. Our wedding photo on the shelf stared back at me to smiling faces under autumn trees, a moment of pure hope. Days passed in a blur. I went through motions at work, but my mind replayed the video. Sophie's laughter, Maja's confident guiding hand, Alex's narration. Nights were worst. I'd wake in cold sweats, flashbacks pounding my chest. I tried calling Sophie, she didn't pick up. I texted Alex for answer, silence. The loneliness was suffocating. Then I saw Alex's apology video. His face, half lit in a dark room, eyes rimmed with regret, or so they wanted viewers to think. "I'm sorry," he said. "I thought it would be art." Sophie agreed. "We all did. Dawn, you knew." His voice cracked once. "We never meant harm. Just words, lies." I remembered the way Sophie's eyes looked that night, fear, confusion, that flicker of forced amusement. I wasn't in on it. It'd been the last to know. I resolved to take back control. I scoured social media for private messages Alex had sent me bragging about engagement spikes. I dug up screenshots of Maya praising the stunt. I assembled every shred of evidence, timestamps, saved copies of the video, our text exchanges. Then I filmed my own statement. The camera captured my raw face, no lighting rigs, no makeup. "In Daniel, I began. Sophie and I built our life together on trust. Alex was my friend. He used my wife and me as content. This was not art. It was exploitation." I showed texts from Alex boasting about subscriber growth. I played Maja's private message praising the chaos. I ended with a plea: "If you value respect over clicks, please share this." I posted it privately to journalists, dance community pages, and select bloggers. My upload had no flashy title card, just a direct URL. Slowly, alternative outlets picked it up. A prominent dance magazine ran an editorial about consent in community arts. The hashtags shifted: viral betrayal, consent not licks. Pressure mounted on Alex, sponsors withdrew, his channel lost traction. Maja's bookings dried up. 3 weeks after the prank, there was a timid knock at my door. I opened it to find Sophie, hair shorter, eyes red-rimmed, clutching a faded box of photographs, our wedding cake, candid brunch shots, Sunday reading sessions in bed. She looked fragile. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I never meant for it to go this far." He told me it would be private, artistic. I thought I could handle it. I was wrong. We sat on the couch and unraveled everything. Alex's promises, Maja's encouragement, my own trust misplaced. Sophie confessed feeling cornered, afraid to disappoint the friend who had become her only confidant in that studio. I forgave her, not because I'd forgotten, but because love sometimes demands courage beyond anger. Over the next months, we rebuilt. Sophie resumed teaching in small, invitation-only workshops, no phones allowed. We sold our downtown loft and moved to a quiet neighborhood near the river. Couples therapy helped us navigate lingering wounds. We co-founded a small nonprofit for performance art ethics, giving workshops on consent and community standards. Alex's channel eventually vanished under the weight of public outcry. Maya changed her stage name and redirected her career toward teaching at youth centers. Our story circulated quietly among arts communities as a cautionary tale. The hunger for viral fame can devour those we love most. On Sophie and my first anniversary after the incident, we held a small beach gathering, friends who stood by us, family who offered unwavering support. Sophie danced barefoot at sunset on the sand, the ocean her silent audience. I recorded it on my old camcorder, grainy, unedited footage, but ours. No calls to action, no subscription prompts, just a moment preserved in authenticity. In a world obsessed with clicks, likes, and fleeting notoriety, our story endures as proof that true connection isn't measured by view counts. It lives in the quiet respect we afford one another, and the resilience of love when tested by betrayal. In the days after Sophie's return, Our apartment felt different, hollow at first, then slowly alive again as we began to piece our lives back together. The first challenge was simply waking up without dread. I'd often lie in bed, staring at the ceiling panels, half expecting my phone to buzz with another viral alarm. Sophie next to me would stir, and it'd force my breathing back to normal, remind myself, this is our real life, not a clip on the internet. We started by reclaiming our physical space. Boxes of Sophie's ballet gear, mirrors, portable bars, costumes were moved to the storage unit. In their place, we hung framed photos of our happier times, our wedding day, a candid shot of Sophie teaching a class before the prank, me cheering her on at that very studio. On weekend mornings, we'd brew coffee together, share the newspaper instead of scrolling feeds, and speak aloud our gratitude for simple routines. Every familiar sound, Sophie humming as she made oatmeal, the click of my laptop opening felt like a small victory. Sophie also insisted on redesigning our loft. We painted walls in warm, muted tones and replaced the glossy white floorboards where the worst betrayal had unfolded with rugs she wove herself. In one corner, we created a reading nook, in another, a memory wall displaying ticket stubs, postcards, and handwritten notes from friends. Each item carried its own story, divorced from viral spectacle. I watched Sophie arrange these pieces with careful hands and realized how healing creativity could be when it wasn't manipulated for spectacle. Within a month of our reconciliation, Sophie and I co-founded Respect in Performance, a nonprofit aimed at educating community artists, dancers, actors, musicians about consent, boundaries, and ethical collaboration. Our first workshop was held in a small art space downtown. Flyers announced, "Your body, your canvas, setting boundaries in community art." We structured the session around open discussion, scenarios where a harmless prank can cross the line, role-playing exercises to practice voicing discomfort, and guest speakers, legal advisors, psychologists, and seasoned performers who shared insights on maintaining both creative freedom and mutual respect. I led the marketing effort, leveraging my professional skills to secure sponsorship from local arts councils. Sophie hosted the dance demonstrations, illustrating how movement could empower rather than exploit. On the day of our first workshop, I watched Sophie on stage, her posture confident, eyes bright. She spoke candidly of her experience, how she'd felt excited at first, flattered by Alex's attention, then trapped when the stunt spiraled beyond her control. The audience, community dancers, students, parents listened in silence. When she finished, there was a moment of stillness, then the room erupted in applause. I felt tears prick my eyes. This was the kind of impact we'd wanted, real change, born from our pain. Despite our progress, shadows lingered. Every few days, someone would send me a link to an old interview where Alex lauded the authentic rawness of his prank. Comments on those videos, some mocking, some defensive, served as grim reminders that what we'd lived through remained just a few clicks away. I wrestled with whether to confront Alex directly. Part of me wanted to demand a proper, heartfelt apology. Part of me feared reopening the wound. Finally, Sophie and I agreed to reach out. We drafted an email. "Dear Alex, we're writing to request a face-to-face meeting. Our goal is not revenge, but accountability. We want to understand why you did this and to find a way to move forward, both for our healing and for the artists whose trust you broke. We believe in second chances, but only if they're earned." Daniel and Sophie. Days passed with no reply. Then, one evening, my phone buzzed. "Meet me at the old studio. Friday at 7 p.m. Alex, the confrontation. Friday night, I drove Sophie to the deserted warehouse on 8th Street. The door was unlocked. Inside, the mirrored walls reflected our hesitant silhouettes, and a single overhead bulb cast long shadows. Alex waited by an empty bar, his once cheerful grin replaced by a haunted expression. He swallowed. "I'm sorry," he began, but Sophie held up a hand. "We read your apology video. That wasn't enough. We need to hear it from you, to see it in your eyes." Alex nodded, voice catching. "I thought I was making art that would shake people out of complacency about performance. I never considered how it would feel to be on the other side. I was selfish. I wanted views, subscribers, the thrill of being so controversial. I didn't see Sophie as a person in that moment. I saw her as content." He ran a hand through his hair. "I lost sight of empathy. I experimented on the people I cared about most." His voice cracked. "I hate what I did." Sophie's eyes glistened. "We need you to commit to never do this to anyone again, to speak out against this kind of exploitation whenever you see it." Alex nodded fervently. I will. I've already started removing that footage. I'll testify at any panels or workshops you host. I'll do whatever it takes. Sophie and I exchanged a glance, measuring sincerity. We decided to believe him and offered a cautious path forward. Alex would join our next workshop as a guest speaker on ethical media, and every dollar he raised from his channel would go to the nonprofit. In the months that followed, Alex honored his pledge. He sat on our panel at the Regional Artists Conference, speaking vulnerably about the pitfalls of chasing fame and the moral imperative of respecting collaborators. He lost most of his old audience, but gained a smaller, more engaged community committed to responsible content creation. Maya, the dancer in the video, returned to teaching local youth dance programs focusing on mentorship rather than spectacle. She and Sophie eventually co-taught a masterclass on emotional safety in movement, which drew rave reviews for its candor and compassion. Sophie and I continued therapy both individual and couples and made it a practice to check in at least weekly about any lingering doubts. We found new joy in mundane rituals, cooking chili on Sunday afternoons, biking by the river, volunteering at the community center. Our relationship grew stronger, formed not despite the betrayal, but because we confronted it head-on. A year to the day after the prank went viral, we returned to the beach where we hold our anniversary gatherings. Friends and family gathered once more under a pastel sunset. Sophie danced barefoot on the sand, a contemporary solo she choreographed in honor of resilience, her movements fluid yet grounded, a testament to overcoming fear. I stood beside the nonprofit's banner, watching the small crowd of neighbors, former students, and advocacy allies clap and cheer. After the performance, Sophie and I shared a quiet moment by the water's edge. She took my hand, and together we watched the waves, the force of nature reminding us that those storms come, they too can pass, leaving the shoreline reshaped, but intact. In our digital age, the lure of going viral is powerful, but so is the cost when personal dignity is sacrificed for fleeting attention. Our story became a cautionary tale shared in art schools, online forums, and even corporate seminars on ethics. Yet for me, the greatest lesson wasn't in the public reaction, it was in the personal journey of forgiveness and renewal. True connection, I learned, isn't built on sensationalism. It's forged in moments of vulnerability, in the willingness to face our mistakes, and in the courage to rebuild trust brick by fragile brick. Sophie and I still record snippets of our life, her laughter as she teaches, my voice narrating small victories, but we do so with consent, respect, and the knowledge that some memories are precious precisely because they're ours alone, never destined for viral fame.